Welcome back everyone, Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. Some more of these. As per usual, I'll be giving you my thoughts and opinion on them, and I hope you do the same in the comments down below. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Am I the asshole for returning my wife's shoes? My wife was at the doctor's office for our baby's 2-week checkup when I stumbled upon new purchases in her closet. As in shoes, flip-flops, sandals, etc. that looked pretty close to the ones she had already had in the closet. That she had bought earlier this year in preparation, I guessed, for summer. Except that the shoes were much bigger than the ones she had previously. This is our first baby, and to be honest, what I noticed more than anything is the fact that her feet have gotten swollen, wider and longer as her pregnancy progressed. It's been a mood killer for me, and it's made worse by the fact that my mom compares pregnancy feet to a loaf of bread, and I can only visualize her feet like that. But more than that, my mom said that feet are supposed to shrink after pregnancy, and that weight loss is a big part of it. So I was upset that my wife just spent all this money on new shoes when she barely goes anywhere outside of either her bedroom or our baby's room, and should be gunning for weight loss instead of throwing in the towel. I thought that it was an impulsive purchase that, in the end, was going to waste money and disincentivize her to lose weight and look for solutions to her swollen feet. As a result, I ended up taking the shoes back and getting refunds. Now my wife is pissed, and I feel like she's just going to refuse to lose weight out of spite. Am I the asshole? I can't help feeling not attracted to her, and unfortunately the state of her feet is something I notice very clearly. And I'm also still mad that she used my money without permission, and am tempted to cut up the credit cards she uses if she's going to continue to impulse buy. So is she just not allowed to have shoes? Like, the fuck, dude? Like what? So if she's gonna go somewhere, now she doesn't have any shoes that fit her. Do you just want like a barefoot and pregnant wife and that's it? Because she literally doesn't have shoes anymore that fit her. I'm so lost. Maybe the reason why she doesn't go outside or go anywhere besides the bedroom and the baby's room is because she didn't have shoes that fit her. So she went and got some, and now she doesn't have shoes that fit her again. So, what? Hey babe, go to the gym and lose that weight. I can't, you returned the workout shoes I bought. It didn't sound like my problem. I'm gonna cut up your credit card if you do that again. And not to mention, this is 2 weeks after she just gave birth. She gives birth. She buys shoes that fit her, so she can go out and do stuff, and possibly lose some of the weight the husband is no longer attracted to her because, and then he just returns the shoes so she can't lose the weight that the husband is no longer attracted to her because he thinks of loaves of bread when looking at her feet. Buddy, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to suckle them piggies? What? What? Are the feet that important to your relationship? My man, There are so many red flags in this one, holy shit. My wife and I are separating due to irreconcilable differences. It appears it's going to be a clean split in the finances. I am buying her out of her half of the house, etc. My main issue is that my wife has moved out to stay with her daughter now, which leaves me to cover all the household bills, etc. I earn 80k pounds a year, so it wouldn't be an issue, but up until now we had always split bills 50-50, so I have grown accustomed to a certain standard of living. My wife is only on a minimum part-time wage, so I don't think I would be able to go after her salaried income. However, now she lives with her daughter, who is quite well off. She has very little outgoing expenses other than food, phone bill, and car payments, as I'm assuming her daughter will be paying my wife's way. So, once the dust is settled here, I'm going to be spending more every month and she'll be spending less. Is there any recourse for going after my stepdaughter's income since it will be spent on my wife? So would that count as income for my wife? Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, for starters, you're making assumptions based on your wife's finances that the daughter's gonna be paying her way when she does make her own money, so you don't know what the hell's gonna be going on with that. Second, you're really going after your stepdaughter's income after the divorce? Dude, I hope to God that's not how it works in Scotland. Holy hell, that is gross. And also, buddy, you've grown accustomed to a certain standard of living. Yeah, I bet your wife had as well, but you bought her out of the house. You made the choice to put your finances in this situation. If you can't afford this, then you should downsize. I had to downsize when I was dealing with my own legal shit and had to fucking figure out where the hell to go with things. I don't have a car right now. I made sacrifices. I made choices. It's part of life. Sometimes when things don't go your way, you gotta make some pretty hard choices. But to me, it sounds like you don't have to. You just want to take money from your stepdaughter because you want to maintain a certain standard of living, but in your own admission, you can. You're not even going after the income because you have to, because you're suddenly going to be out the place to live if you don't. You just want to go after the stepdaughter's income so you can maintain a bougie standard of living. Also, your wife was earning minimum wage, but you were able to split the finances 50-50, and you want to go after your stepdaughter's income? Dude, what is wrong with you? You made the choice to buy her out of the house. You made the decisions to put yourself into this financial situation. You two made the decision to split up. Also, on top of all of that, why is it that you would be entitled to the stepdaughter's income and not that your wife would be entitled to some of your income? Couldn't she make the same argument that she is used to a standard of living that you used to provide because, by your own admission, you make pretty good money, so how come she can't just turn around and Uno reverse that shit on you? I feel like your decisions are very short-sighted and are gonna lead to a lot of doors opening that you're gonna wish remained closed. Am I the asshole for not wanting to punish my daughter for defending her little brother? We have 2 children, a daughter who is 7 and a son who is 4. My daughter loves her little brother and is quite protective of him, which I have always liked, at least until now. We recently had a family gathering at my parents' house. I don't get along with my sisters because they have raised their children in the way that they believe they can annoy others and get away with it because they won't get punished. That's why especially my 6-year-old nephew, who likes to bother my son, whenever he does it, we immediately leave the meetings. We attended this last meeting because my father was already retiring from his job and wanted to celebrate the beginning of his retirement with a family reunion. My husband is the one who usually takes care of my son because when my husband is with him, my nephew doesn't dare approach him. But that time, my husband had a work meeting and couldn't go. My daughter anyway insisted that she would take care of her brother, so we ended up going. Now, my parents have 2 medium-sized swimming pools, one for children and one for adults. It turns out that my nephew threw my son into the adult pool. As soon as I realized, I took him out and cleaned him. My son was crying and I was watching red, but at least my son was fine. When I was about to go complain to my sister, we heard a scream. We turned to look and it was my daughter, sinking my nephew's face in the water of the children's pool and putting all her weight on top of him so he couldn't get up. Almost all of us had to intervene to be able to separate them. I couldn't believe that a 7-year-old girl could have so much strength. But not even my 2 sisters and I could make her let go of my nephew. When we managed to separate them, my nephew began to vomit water, throw it out of his nose and cry. My daughter also cried while hugging her brother and I hugged both of them. When everything calmed down between them, the screams began between my sister and me. My sister wanted to hit my daughter and I got in the way. Luckily, nothing happened. In the end, we separated and each of us returned home. It is worth clarifying that I did not punish my daughter for what she did, and I do not plan to do so. She was only defending her brother, but the problem is that my sisters both want my daughter to apologize to my nephew, and that I should punish her in front of them to let them know what kind of violence is not okay, which I refuse to do. My parents also think that my daughter went a little too far. The only person who is on my side now is my husband, saying that he would have done the same if he had been in my daughter's place. So, am I the asshole for refusing to punish her and not wanting her to apologize? Tangentially, every adult in this situation is in the wrong here. You guys left children who have issues with each other, unaccompanied, next to large bodies of water. Like, that is on you guys for that situation there. Your daughter definitely went too far. Holy shit. But I am massively internally conflicted on the daughter portion of it because she said she would handle it and she most certainly did. Holy hell. You should probably have a conversation with your daughter that attempted murder is most certainly not the way to go about this. She probably didn't realize what she was doing, and if she did, maybe therapy? Because, oh my god. I can tell you for certain the nephew is never going to pick on the 4-year-old again. And the fact that the sisters never actually punished the 6-year-old for the constant, honestly, I'm just gonna say bullying of a 4-year-old, that's kind of on the sisters. The matters escalated and the daughter took things into her own hands, apparently very effective hands. And if you struggled to get her off of the nephew, she was full of rage. Holy shit. I think the parents are more at fault in this situation than the children are. I think the daughter definitely needs to have a strong talking to because what she did was unacceptable, but I get it. I understand it. That nephew isn't gonna start shit anymore. He learned his lesson fundamentally. I am firmly in the boat that the parents fucked up on this situation by leaving the kids unattended when there were problems between them around large bodies of water. I am fundamentally in that position. However, because I am not a parent yet, I feel like I need to ask for, like, further advice on how you would handle the daughter in this situation, because in my mind, I'm amused by the daughter's actions. She said she would defend her little brother, and she sure as hell made sure of it. And yeah, I definitely probably have a little bit of a bias here, and that's why I'm going to be asking people who are actually parents for a bit of advice on this one, because I don't know if I would be able to deliver a proper punishment or conversation in this circumstance, beyond just simply having a conversation that, you know, defending your brother is good, but don't go that far because that nephew could have probably died. But again, that loops right back to the fact that no one was watching the kids near pools. The 4-year-old could have also died because it's assuming that the adult pool is your standard 5-foot pool. A 4-year-old being thrown into the pool by a 6-year-old, that could have also been horrific. I really do fundamentally believe that a lot of this does fall back onto the parents. I think what the daughter did was excessive, but the 6-year-old also needs to be punished for the fact that oh my god, I'm frustrated. Am I the asshole for dismissing my wife's concerns about me driving 100+ miles per hour on the highway? Yes, moving on. I'm kidding. Mostly. I'm not. I'm already judging this one, but let's continue. I, 36 male, work in a rural area, absolute middle of nowhere. Because of that, there's mostly nobody on the highway as I get closer, and I usually speed up to over 100 miles an hour. Honestly, nobody really cares. It's never been an issue. Until when I was driving there to pick something up on Monday. I forgot my earbuds and we were going somewhere anyways, and my wife starts hissing at me to slow down. I ask her what our problem is, and she says I'm going way too fast, especially since our kids, 5 female and 3 female, were in the car. Note I was going about 90. I reply to that by saying the highway was basically empty, so we would be fine, plus, I do the drive every day at higher speeds. Conversation ended there. After getting my stuff and getting to our destination, while my kids were doing some rides, my wife wanted to stop right where we started. I told her I get the point, but like I said, the highway isn't even close to full, and we would just be wasting time to go slower. Well, here asking for judgment on whether I was wrong in this situation, since my wife still 100% thinks she's right here. Am I the asshole? So before I give my opinion, I just want to firmly state that the moment that you are speeding in a car and you have infants in there, you are instantly the asshole, no matter what conditions the roads are or any other factors that could be at play. They cannot consent to being in a speeding vehicle. And, in some cases, could lead to childhood trauma revolving vehicles because their father decided to excessively speed when they were younger. That being said, it is one thing when you are alone, on a divided highway, specifically divided highway. The roads are clear, no one is around you, you can see for miles ahead of you, and you don't need to be too concerned with wildlife. Speeding in those conditions is one thing. You might end up hurting yourself or possibly getting a ticket, but there is less of a risk to those around you or those within the car if you're speeding alone in those conditions. But the moment you actively participate in something that makes one of your passengers uncomfortable, like your wife, and let's say you're speeding, you instantly become the asshole. And of course, this includes what I spoke on earlier with having children in the car, who may not be able to verbalize their discomfort with your driving. It is one thing to put yourself and only yourself at risk, it is another thing entirely to put others at risk. So, To further that, if you are speeding on a non-divided highway, you're the asshole, and you are actively and recklessly endangering the lives of others. If there are hills and you are speeding, you're the asshole. If there are sharp turns and you're speeding, you're the asshole. If there's a heavy deer population and you're speeding, you're the asshole. Your brakes can only do so much at 90 miles an hour plus. Trust me on that. As someone who in a single year went through 4 tires, 4 brake pads, and an entire set of rotors, in 1 year, you can probably guess what I was doing on mountain passes. Your brakes can only do so much, and you need to be damn aware of what your car can do. And I don't think he is. And the reason why I state that, because in the comment section, when someone asked him exactly about that and what happens if a deer jumps in front of his car while he's driving, he stated, brake pedals come standard. Anyone who is aware of what their car's limits actually are will not respond with that when it comes to a deer jumping out in front of them at 100 miles an hour. You are going to vaporize that deer. Probably the entire front half of your car. Am I the asshole for embarrassing my daughter and messing up her date? This weekend, my daughter and I went out to a party with a group of my friends. Some of them brought their kids with them. My daughter hit it off with one of my friend's sons, who she hadn't met before. We were drinking and I overheard them talking about potentially going on a date. It was clear they were interested in each other from their behavior during the party, so I wasn't surprised. I love my daughter more than anything, and I want her to be happy. She deserves to be happy. I went over there when they were planning the date and said, kinda joking, that Logan, my friend's son, wasn't right for my daughter, so he can get that idea out of his head. They asked why. I said Logan was only 22 and my daughter is 25. She needs someone who is financially stable and he's still starting off. I joked maybe in 5 years, but right now, he's just a kid. She needs a man. He laughed and said he understood. No hard feelings. He knows I just want the best for my kid. I said he was a sweet kid, but not the person for my daughter. I didn't realize she was mad till we drove home. She gave me the silent treatment and then didn't talk to me for the rest of the weekend, saying that I ruined her date and embarrassed her. Am I the asshole here? I was just looking out for her. Her being so upset is strange, honestly. So for starters, they're both consenting adults, so it's none of your business. Not only that, but if I heard that one of my friends told my son that he's financially irresponsible, I'd be pretty pissed, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, you embarrassed your daughter in front of someone she was romantically interested in. I'd be pretty mad too. And also, simultaneously, in the process of embarrassing her, you also insulted your daughter by saying that she's not in a position to be financially responsible and she can't handle herself either. You simultaneously insulted your friend's son, and your daughter in one fell swoop. That's shockingly impressive and efficient, not going to lie. I cut off my daughter, 15 female, over a misunderstanding and now she won't come back. Am I the asshole? I'm 47 and a single father to my daughter Kate. Her mother is unfortunately out of the picture, took her own life shortly after Kate was born. So I don't have much help in the way of parenting, which is why this happened. I have other family, but I don't really want them involved with the parenting since it's something I always wanted to handle myself. So before you judge, please understand this. About 2 months ago, I couldn't find my credit card anywhere, and despite checking the numerous places it could have been, I thought it had been taken. Since Kate and I are the only ones that live here, I thought she might have had something to do with it. I asked her if she knew where it was, and she said no. I went back to looking for a bit, but after I still hadn't found it, I thought it may have been stolen. I had shut it off, and then I thought about who could have stolen it. The only person I could think of was Kate. So I tried to get her to confess to stealing it, and she wouldn't budge. I tried being calm, but after some back and forth, I eventually snapped and yelled at her to tell me where it was and why she took it. She was crying and saying she didn't take it, but I didn't believe her. So I went through her room and couldn't find it. I figured she took it somewhere, and I was just so mad at her that I called my sister, Annie, and asked her to take Kate because I thought she was a little thief. Annie came and took her, but told me that I shouldn't accuse her of taking it because she knew Kate wouldn't have done it, and that I've lost stuff before and found it in unexpected places. I told her there's no way I'd lose something this important, and that she had to have taken it. We argued back and forth, but eventually I was so angry because I thought Kate stole my credit card, I yelled that I didn't want to see that stealing bitch until I got my credit card back. I guess she heard what I said because I heard some sniffling and felt really bad, but Annie took her and left. I was still angry, so admittedly I trashed her room in hopes I might find it, and still nothing. I ended up replacing my card since I figured it was gone for good. I hadn't spoken to Kate out of anger and figured it was for the best since I didn't think I'd have anything nice to say anyway. But last week I replaced the couch, and while I was taking it apart to clean it before I sold it, I found the damn card under the cushions. The one place I didn't think it would be. It was. This meant that Annie was right, and I felt horrible for Kate. I called Annie and told her I found it, and she rightfully yelled at me for being an idiot. I asked if Kate could come home, and Annie tried getting her to talk to me, but she refused and said she's not coming back. Annie then told me that she's been depressed since this happened and had to put her in therapy because she almost took her life over this. I didn't realize that what happened would have led to this, and I'm so scared to think I could have lost Kate the same way I lost my wife. I broke down and asked what I could do, and Annie just said that I probably screwed up our entire relationship and that I should work on moving on. This is bothering me so much. I know I screwed up. I just want to know what I can do to get her back. I miss my daughter and all the good times we had together. She's been the only thing keeping me here since her mother died, and I feel alone without her. I don't want to force her to come back, otherwise I would have just filed her as a runaway and risked my sister being charged with kidnapping. But I want her to be okay around me again. Am I the asshole for what I did with the only knowledge I had at the time, and how do I get her back? I'm adding this as a editorial process post-commentary kind of insert here. I'm not defending the father in this next portion of the commentary. I've seen enough people in the comments take my empathy to the furthest extremes possible, so I want to clarify, I'm not siding with the father. All I'm doing is stating that what's done is done, and there's no going back. The father is asking for what's next, and that's what I'm providing. And I know that I already state this in the upcoming commentary, but he is not entitled for his apology to be accepted by his daughter. That is his daughter's decision. Unfortunately, your daughter now knows that you value your credit card and your monetary possessions more than her. You weren't willing to believe her for something that you lost, despite the fact that you didn't know at the time, and called her a bitch for it. I don't think you can get your daughter back. I think first and foremost, you as the father need to go to therapy and take some steps to actually try to rehabilitate yourself, because the fact that you didn't even consider that you could have lost it and trashed her room, called her a bitch, kicked her out of the house, before even just broadening your search, I think you need to get professional help. Not everyone is entitled to have their apology accepted, and God knows that I've made my fair share of mistakes, and that leads me to be weirdly empathetic in situations like this, because we're human, but at the same time, an apology doesn't always cut it. You have to take steps to improving yourself as a person first. I think your daughter should stay with your aunt, and you definitely need to rehabilitate yourself and work on that anger, because she needs a safe place to be, and I don't think that's with you. Like, you excommunicated your daughter over a credit card that you thought was stolen by her, to the point where she attempted to commit suicide because she thought she lost her father over something she didn't do. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all fuck up from time to time. It's what makes us what we are. The thing is, though, is you had a pretty big fuck up. And you're clearly distraught over it, but you need to understand where you fucked up just beyond accusing your daughter of being a dirty little thief and calling her a bitch. You made so many missteps along the way, and you need to take the time to figure out what you've done, how you've hurt your daughter, and improve yourself in the process before you can even begin to consider asking her to be back in your life. And there's a good chance that she may never want you back in her life, and you need to be ready to accept that. There comes a point where once you better yourself, you just need to sit there and think, my daughter's doing good in life. Good for her. And you gotta move on. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.